Hello and welcome back to Smart Money Mondays. I'm Victoria Elias, also known as the Money Coach. In this session, I want us to look at money mistakes that you should avoid. But before we dive into that, let us remember that this is just a discussion and it does not constitute financial advice in any way, shape, or form. Many people think that being able to build wealth just comes by pure luck or being born under the right circumstances. Other people think that they're just destined to be poor. This couldn't be further from the truth because your financial well-being depends on the decisions that you make every day, every week, monthly, and ultimately throughout your whole lifetime. It is basically a combination of all the decisions that you've taken, and that is how your financial well-being is determined. This means that our financial choices will ultimately lead us to financial health or keep us poor. With that being said, here are some money mistakes that you should avoid. Money mistake number 1, avoid remaining financially illiterate. That means not knowing what goes on with finances. Many of our population, educated and uneducated, do not know how money is made, how it works, and how to multiply or how to grow their money. Let's use me as an example, right? I graduated from a university with an accounting degree. I might have understood what a debit is, what a credit is, and different financial terminology, but I didn't understand how the practical side of things worked. And that is how I fell prey to credit card debt and clothing account debts. These people came to university and you get so excited because they pitch these clothing accounts and they tell you how you can buy clothes and you only pay later. You don't stop to think, why are they offering this to me? What is the catch? So I took those clothing accounts, I took the credit card and I started spending it, right? And then came when I received my first salary and I had to start paying back that debt, that credit card, that clothing account. The first thought on my mind when I received my very first salary was, how am I going to spend it? I didn't think that, I took those credit cards, I spent the money and I bought clothes on the clothing accounts and I now need to start paying them back. My first thought was, how am I going to spend this money? So please note that being financially illiterate does not have to do with the level of education or your background or anything like that. It just means that maybe you've never been taught about finances at home, at work, at school. It doesn't matter. As long as you've not been introduced or exposed to how to manage your finances, then it means that you are financially illiterate. And this is not being mean or, trying to throw stones at anyone. It is just the first step to accepting or to realizing that you are financially illiterate. Once you have acknowledged that you are financially illiterate and that you know very little about money, you then should start taking steps to bring about a change. Financial illiteracy will have you buying a car that is 4 times worth your salary. So if you earn 300,000 per annum, you're gonna go buy a car that is worth 1.2 million. You can't afford it. Being financial illiterate will also have you being broke 4 days after payday. Being financial illiterate will have you in a cycle of debt your entire life. You'll be making money, you'll be getting a new job, but you know how we are. As your salary increases, so does your lifestyle change, so do your expenses increase. You need to upgrade your car, you need to move, you need to buy new clothes and all of that. And that's not how we should be moving around money. When you get a new job, you'll need to go back to your budget, you'll need to go back to your smart financial goals and reevaluate and go and see where you can allocate that money. Maybe you can allocate the additional money to your emergency fund or towards paying off your debt, as opposed to just going and leveling up and impressing others that now I'm a manager, now I have this much money, therefore I am entitled to drive this car, I'm entitled to live in a bigger home. We're not saying you shouldn't spoil yourself or you shouldn't get yourself things or reward yourself with things that make you happy, but you need to be financially smart with your money. Also, there's this trend of people cashing out their pension funds when they switch jobs. When they cash it out, they go buy new cars. That is not very wise to do, because the more you cash into your pension, you will suffer the consequences later. We will look at that when we discuss retirement planning, but don't do that. Don't go tapping into your pension fund every single time you switch jobs. That just means that the money that your company has been helping you put away for your retirement, you don't have it anymore. It doesn't exist. What are you going to use? What are you going to do when you retire? There's not going to be any money because you've been cashing out each and every time. And remember, you're supposed to build up this retirement money over the years that you work. So let's say you start working at the age of 20. By the time you retire at the age of 60, you would have saved money for 40 years. And that money is what's supposed to supplement you for the rest of your life, because you will no longer have an income. Now, if you go around tapping into that money that is meant for when you retire, you will now be a burden to the government, a burden to your children. To avoid all of this, you need to teach yourself about money. How do you teach yourself about money? You need to read books, you need to watch blogs, you need to watch podcasts, you need to read newspapers. There are different platforms that you can tap into or familiarize yourself with. You can watch videos, like the one that I'm making now. There are many different ways that you can familiarize yourself with financial health or financial well-being. When you're looking at these different platforms where you're familiarizing yourself with financial wellness or financial well-being, you'll need to look at pension. What is the difference between a pension fund and a retirement annuity? What are the tax consequences to those two? Companies will offer you a pension fund, they'll offer you a retirement annuity. Why they're offering you those two different options? You should ask. Normally there are consultants that come in. Make use of those people. Don't just tell yourself that no, by default I'll go for a pension fund, or by default I'll go for a retirement annuity. Find out what is the difference, what are the benefits to them. Don't just follow blindly or subscribe blindly. Be aware. Do not just sign things that you do not understand. It is very important also to look at the process of buying a car and buying a house. There are taxes that are involved when you buy a house, especially when you want to transfer it. I will soon do a session on estate planning where I will break down what happens to your estate when you pass on, when you leave that property to your kids. What consequences are there? There are taxes that are applicable. So sometimes you leave a property to your child and they aren't able to inherit it because they need to pay certain taxes. Let's say, this is just an example, you leave a property worth 2 million and maybe there's 20% tax that the child needs to pay before this property is transferred into their name. They need to pay that before the property will be transferred into their name. If they do not pay that money, they're going to have to sell the property to get that money. If not, the property will not be transferred into their name. So those are the things that you need to know before you sign or before you agree to certain things. Money mistake number 2 that you should avoid is believing myths about money. There are many myths around money that people believe. And sometimes we think that it doesn't affect us, but what you believe affects how you behave. If you believe that only people of a certain age, of a certain race, of a certain gender, of a certain ethnic group are good with money or destined to have money, then that will affect how you handle money. Another myth is that money is evil. I don't believe in that because we all need money. Money can get you nice things. You can buy the things you love. You can get things done. You need money to go through life. So how is it that money is evil? Don't just blindly believe what people say or what goes out there. Money mistake number 3 is not having a budget. You'll keep on hearing this over and over again. It is very important to have a budget. Many people earn money, but they don't know where it goes. At the end of the month, they do not know where the money went. That is why it's important to have a budget. When you have a budget, you'll have a